We're now joined by Professor John Hasseler from the University of Stockholm. Professor, tell us a little about your talk in this morning's session.
Well, I said that actually I think research is progressing and we are, as a consequence of the crisis, I think that fiscal policy research has been more focused on real world problems. So I think that what comes out of that is going to be quite useful for the future.
How would you characterize the difference between research now and research before the crisis?
Well, when it comes to fiscal policy, I think the research that was done wasn't very helpful actually for actual policy making. So there was kind of a disconnect between research and policy making when it came to fiscal policy. In monetary policy it was kind of the opposite, that there was a very close connection between how monetary policy was executed at the central banks and what was taught in economics classes and how research was done. Now, in a sense, it hasn't really completely flipped, but at least there has developed a strong disconnect between research, at least research results, and monetary policy, in the sense that during the crisis, the central banks have had to work in uncharted waters, really. I'm sure there's going to come back research that really, there is research that really tries to understand how these new measures work, but they are still quite far away. On the other hand, in fiscal policy, the crisis has triggered research that's useful, I think, for actual policy making. So we know more now when we should use different types of fiscal policy instruments and how effective they are in different situations than we did before the crisis. And I think that's quite useful. Still, there's, of course, lots of questions that are unanswered. And in particular, I was stressing that what we need is research that try to develop an understanding of which fiscal policy tools can work under a large set of circumstances and particularly a large set of assumptions. So some models say that some particular instruments are good, but under other assumptions they can be very, very bad. And we don't really know exactly which assumptions and which mechanisms are true, so we need to develop instruments that are robust to various different assumptions, and I think that's where we need to go.
And would you say it's an exciting time to be in the field?
Absolutely. They said, some people said that what was called the Great Moderation, where nothing much happened in the macroeconomy, was a very boring time, but now it's not boring.
Professor Hasseler, thank you very much for joining us. Cheers.